Hello. So I thought it was about time for me to shoot another update. So I am now 13 weeks into prep, and it has been slow moving so far regarding fat loss. So I'm currently at 60 kilos. So I've lost about 4 kilos. At my highest, I was 64 when I started and was deviating in like the high 63s to low 64s. So now I'm about mid 60. This week has been a little challenging. I had spoken to Karina, my coach, about my concerns about whether I was going to be ready in time for the first show that I'm looking at. So since the last update that I filmed, which was at week 8, no shows had yet been announced, but now more and more have been announced. So season A for IFBB Australia the shows have been announced. So there are 2 that I'm looking at, and the earliest is at I think it's the 28th of March. It's definitely late March. And then there's another show in May. So that's IFBB. ICN have announced shows for April and July, I believe. There's definitely a show in July. I believe it's ICN. I'm also looking at A and B. And there is also WBFF, but I'm not sure about that one. A and B and ICN, the posing tends to be quite similar, so that's why I'm considering that federation as well. Ideally, I would do additional federations where the posing is somewhat the same across the board with like ICN, because ICN tends to be more flexible with their posing, whereas IFBB Australia is stricter with their posing. I would also like to do NPC here, which is IFBB Pro, just to, confuse things. There are 2 IFBB leagues. So IFBB Australia tends to be in line more with IFBB in Europe, and then IFBB Pro tends to be more in line with IFBB/NPC in the States, which is also qualifies for the Arnold, for example. So that is definitely something that I would like to do, even though the stakes are a lot higher. I just see a lot more shows online because I'm watching mainly stuff from the States. And I really like the posing with NPC. They focus more on the front and the back pose, and it's also a league that I would like to try. But it's first time around. I'm starting to think about next season, but I'm also reminding myself to not put so much pressure on myself, because I don't actually know what it's going to be like when I'm pushed to the grind. But I am thinking long term with this kind of stuff. It is something that ideally I would like to do again, but at the same time, I don't want to get overexcited like I have a tendency to do. When I went through my yoga teacher training, I had this grand idea about teaching yoga, and then I did that. I just found myself less inclined to pursue that after teacher training. So I just want to be real flexible and just allow myself the opportunity to just experience this and then decide where I want to go with it after that. So in regards to training, this week has been another deload week, which it was the last time that I recorded my update. And once again, it's been well timed because 1, my period arrived, and 2, I had a drop of calories and an increase in cardio this week. So my calories, 15 grams of fat got removed, and that happened the day that I got my period. And that was the hardest day I've experienced so far. I was ravenous. I wanted to eat everything because I generally get very hungry when I have my period anyway, which is pretty normal. You're losing blood, so the body needs to replenish that, and that demands energy, and energy usually comes in the form of food. So in that case, I also was a little negligent my with my iron, which I really felt, and so it was a reminder to me to not neglect my iron supplements. Because as soon as I supplemented, I felt a massive improvement. So training has been good, actually. So I've been making improvements in strength, even though I've been in a deficit. It's been a pretty static deficit though. Karina, my coach, wasn't changing my macros that much. Slight drops in carbs over the course of a few weeks. No change to cardio up until this week. So now I'm doing 200 minutes of cardio a week on top of 4 days of training. And I also introduced an extra glute day just over a week ago, which I'm going to do about once a fortnight, just because the glutes can handle extra load, because they are the biggest muscle group in the body. Well, the glute max is the biggest muscle in the body, and so it can handle extra load. And as a woman, I have the ability to recover quicker from workouts. Men tend to be fatigued for longer. Not quite sure why that is. Could have something to do with estrogen levels in females compared to males. I've read a little bit about that, but don't quote me on that. It's been a little while since I've read about that, but I do suspect it has something to do with estrogen. Women just tend to recover quicker from workouts. So based on that, and based on the fact that the glutes can handle a good amount of volume, and also that the glutes are a major scoring factor in bikini, and I have a genetic advantage with my glutes. I've always had a big butt. So I'm just of the opinion of, like, why not take advantage of my advantage? And it's a big deal in bikini, so I'm going to work on that. And I'm also doing vacuum holds in the mornings, most mornings. Didn't do so much this week because, again, my period. I have endometriosis as well. So it's not something that I really want to do when I'm at that point in the month, just because it is a painful period. It's a painful period of time for me. So I'm just implementing some stuff that I see the pros do, particularly my favorite, and she does waist training, so with the vacuum holds and using a corset, like a waist cincher, and also wearing a belt during training, which I have also started doing. I mean, I've got a powerlifting belt, which I generally wear when I'm doing the heavy lifts anyway, because it helps support the lower back, plus it helps you to engage your core correctly, and it just offers that support in the trunk. So I bought myself a different belt because the powerlifting belt is quite thick. So I bought myself a thinner belt, which I just wear as a core trainer. I spoke to Felicity at my gym about that because she used to compete, and I asked her about waist trainers because it tends to be a bit of a contentious issue. Some people are into it, some people aren't. It really tends to be a personal thing. I see a lot of the pros doing it, so I'm like, well, follow their lead kind of thing. And I spoke to Felicity about it, and she was like, yeah, absolutely. Core train. Like, you're bodybuilding, you're building a physique, so do what you do in the gym is supposed to lend itself to that goal. So we're not building strength, we're not powerlifting. That's not the goal at the moment. The goal at the moment is to build muscle and to build the shape that they're looking for. So in bikini, they very much want, like, broader across the chest, narrow waist, broad hips. So I've got the hips down. That's no problem with me. My waist has thickened a little in the last year due to PR season, and that's just normal. Like when you're pushing heavy with squats and deadlifts, when you're pushing heavy on the compounds, it tends to build a stockier waist, and you see that in competitive powerlifters and in CrossFitters. They tend to be very kind of solid. That's just the nature of the sport. Whereas in bodybuilding, I don't want that at all. Even if I was competing in figure or classic physique, yeah, you see it on the men, they want a narrow waist. So I figure, well, if Olympia level athletes are doing this, then who am I to scoff at it? Like, what? Learn from the best, If I was pursuing basketball, I'd be watching Michael Jordan and LeBron James videos over and over and over, If you want to play guitar like Jimi Hendrix, you watch him play and you learn how he learned his skill and how he perfected his craft. So, you learn from the best. So I'm taking those tips from them and utilizing it. Otherwise, I haven't yet ordered my suit, and I really need to do that if I'm going to compete in the March show. But I'm honestly not too sure about that, and I also just don't want to stress about it. I asked Karina if she thought that I'd be ready in time because my weight loss has been very slow. We had to play around with my macros momentarily, like for a couple of weeks, because I was having digestive issues. I've cut a few things out again just because my psoriasis was playing up, and I'll reintroduce those things again. I just want to basically clean up my diet so that my immune system can get on top of things and to calm down, because basically when my psoriasis is flaring, it means that my immune system is overactive, and it also means that there's inflammation in my body, because the psoriasis is a sign of inflammation. So I like to be on top of that, because the longer you leave inflammation untreated in the body, it's just an avalanche of issues after a certain amount of time. So that's why I'm very diligent about my diet, because your diet directly affects your body, it directly affects how you feel, it directly affects how your body performs. And I just don't see any value in eating something that is going to keep me sick. I've been sick. I've been in sick states too often. Not interested in staying in that. So I would rather cut a food out, or at least be very diligent about how often I eat it, than keeping myself in a sick state. Don't want to be sick. I like being able to move and to do things and to go places and to be around people and all that kind of stuff, which I can't do when I'm sick. So looking forward, what I am anticipating is a further increase in cardio and a drop in calories, especially now that, so late March is about 13 or 14 weeks away, and I don't think I'm going to be ready in time. But then the next show will be, I think it's about mid-April, and there's definitely shows in May and July that I'm going to do. So I'm definitely doing those. March, April will have question marks on it at the moment, because I also need to order my suit, and I'm not sure. I don't know. I know what color I want. I'm deciding between two colors, and I've just got to figure out how much it's going to cost. I'm looking at it at least $500, so I don't want to spend too much more than that though. And that suit will just do for this season. If I decide to get another suit later on, that's cool, I'll do that. I've got my shoes. But yeah, and I'm just looking at like the accessory things that you have to consider. I'm wondering about what to do with my hair. I want to stay blonde, but I'm thinking of doing something that's a little less bleach, a little more natural looking. And then I'm also going to look at extensions, because this shit is just dead, and they judge you on that. And I have just always been very lazy with my hair. Your hair is something that you get marked on in bikini. Your whole package, you're getting marked. Even down to like if you have an excessive amount of like accessories like rings and bracelets. I'm probably just going to get a bracelet. Really looking forward to resuming posing workshops and starting my one-on-ones. That's one area that I'm just super keen to really dive into and spend some more time doing. So I've just been trying to find ways to kind of like move to flow and stuff like that, and just just getting comfortable moving through the transitions and just kind of playing with it. But the one-on-ones are definitely something that I'm looking forward to. So that'll start in January. And yeah, that's about it for now. So I'm going to leave you here. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to run on the elliptical and finish watching this movie I started while I do that. Oh, and watch Curb Your Enthusiasm. Oh my god. I can't believe it's taken me this long to get into that fucking show. Fuck you. Alright. I'm going to leave you here. And I will give another update in a few weeks' time. There just hasn't been much change in the last 5 weeks, so I didn't really feel the need to do an update. Whereas now things have kind of picked up, so I will, as it picks up more and more, I'll do more updates. But yeah, that's it for now. Really not much more to report, so I will leave you there. Thank you for watching. I hope this is somewhat interesting, and I'll talk to you again soon.